Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, and good night. This is my final project video for the African American theater class. And the play I chose is Slave Play by Jeremy O. Harris. Imagine sitting in a play thinking, okay, this is gonna be a normal historical drama. And then 20 minutes later, you're like sitting there wondering, like, wait, what's happening? And that was basically my experience reading this play, which is really amazing though. When I first heard about like the play, I knew it was like controversial because like some people like praised it, some people criticized it, and some people left it like get left from the play like completely shocked. And that made me curious. Because let's be honest, if a play has everybody fighting and confused and uncomfortable and writing essays about it, then it must be doing something interesting. So today I will be discussing the playwright Jeremy O. Harris, summarizing the play and analyzing its themes, connecting it to African American theater, and sharing what I learned from studying it. Um, Before I continue, I would like to perform a monologue from Slave Play spoken by the character Dustin. Dustin is in our relationship with the character Gary, a black man, by the way. Dustin is white passing, but he tries to deny it anyways. And the two struggle with power dynamics, historical, racial trauma, and intimacy. I will begin. I think if we are all processing, I very much want to process this. The why of all of this, because I'm not trying to say that like I'm more oppressed by like white supremacy or something, but I've very much felt like traumatized by it deeply. Even today I felt like so many little nicks and cuts in every moment of this whole therapy, and I like, is there even room for me in this? Like, yeah, I'm happy and they feel that you have some sort of like ownership of racial dynamics in our sex life, Gary, but I don't know, man. I don't know, man. This is just, I'm not white. I can't be white. And I still don't understand how your idea of my whiteness is what you need me to acknowledge to be. Thank you for listening to my monologue. Um, Now we will be talking about the playwright Jeremy O. Harris, and who the person who created this entire roller coaster of emotions. He is an American playwright, a screenwriter, born in 1989. He is old. He grew up in Virginia and later earned his MFA in playwriting from Yale School of Drama. Harris became nationally recognized throughout Slave Play, which premiered in 2018 and later received 12 Tony Award nominations, setting a record for a non-musical play. Impressive. Which is pretty impressive, yes, as I said already. Most people would probably be nervous from naming this play Slave Play. Like the name in general is just like boom in your face. Um, the man chose chaos, and I do not judge. He also wrote Daddy Xander's Dragon, um, and Water Sports, or Insignificant White Boys. Outside of theater, he co-wrote the film Zola and has worked on television projects as well. One thing I admire about him is that he doesn't seem interested in writing stories that make audiences comfortable. His plays basically walk into the room and announce, "We're having this conversation today, whether you're ready or not," which I liked. Um, so what exactly happens in slave play? The million-dollar question. At the beginning of the play, the audience believes that they're watching watching three interracial couples living on a plantation during the era of slavery. The scenes are uncomfortable from the start. The relationships involve racial tension, power imbalances, and strange interactions between the couples. As I was reading about it, I basically like thought, okay, this is awkward. This is already awkward, and we're just starting. This the audience like watches these characters like interact, and the situations become increasingly tense and uncomfortable. Then comes the plot twist. The plantation scenes are actually real. They're role-playing exercises. Yep. Not a historical drama, not what the audience expects, not what I expected, not what anybody expected. Characters are actually modern interracial couples participating in something called antebellum sexual performance therapy. Yes. The therapist believes that they believe that racial tensions and the historical legacy of slavery are affecting couples' intimacy in relationships. The couples, I said that wrong. The couples include Kanisha and Jim, Philip and Alana, Dustin and Gary, the queer couple, and T and Patricia, another queer couple. And as I would say, um, the main conflict throughout the play is not like simply whether the couples love each other. The real conflict is whether interracial couples can separate their personal relationships from America's history of racism and slavery. The therapy is supposed to help them heal. Instead, it exposes deeper problems. As the session continues, the characters begin discussing race, identity, privilege, desire, and power. Many of the Black characters express frustration that their white partners do not fully understand their experiences. Meanwhile, some of the white partners become defensive or uncomfortable when confronted with these issues. Basically, every therapy session starts looking less like a solution, more like a disaster waiting to happen. One of the most important relationships is Kanisha and Jim's. Kanisha struggles with feeling truly understood and valued, while Jim struggles to understand the depth of her pain and frustration. Their relationship becomes one of the clearest examples of the play's central question. Can people truly move forward together if they haven't fully confronted the past? In the middle of the play, the therapy session becomes increasingly intense, and at times it feels like the therapy is helping, and at other times it just feels like it's just falling apart. The audience begins to see how like deeply the story affects characters' understanding of themselves and their relationships. What makes these scenes powerful is that nobody has easy answers. Everyone is struggling, everyone is frustrated, and everyone is trying to understand something bigger than themselves. As the play moves towards its conclusion, the therapy begins breaking down. The characters become more emotional and are focused to confront painful truths about themselves and their relationships. Unlike many stories, Slave Play does not provide a neat happy ending. Nobody suddenly becomes healed. Nobody magically solves all their problems. The play intentionally leaves many questions unanswered. At first, I found that very frustrating because I'm a person of happy endings, but I realized that that's actually the point. Jeremy O. Harris wants the audience to leave thinking about these issues long after the play ends, which is pretty smart. Instead of giving us answers, he gives us questions. The play asks whether slavery's influence truly disappeared when slavery ended, or does history continue affecting people today? Another major theme is power. The characters constantly struggle with who has power, who lacks it, and how race influences those dynamics. The play also explores sexuality, intimacy, though rather than treating relationships as completely separate from society. Harris shows how personal relationships can be shaped by historical experiences. The play focuses on identity. Many of these characters are trying to understand themselves while navigating expectations connected to race, gender, and culture. Throughout this course, we learned that African American theater often explores racism, resistance, identity, inequality, historical memory, and cultural experience. According to Hill and Hatch, African American theater has long provided a space for Black artists to challenge audiences and encourage social reflection. Slave play continues that tradition. However, instead of only looking backward at history, Harris asks how history continues affecting the present. It demonstrates how contemporary African American theater continues addressing issues rooted in the past while speaking directly to modern audiences. Um, Now, what makes slave play significant is that it refuses to give audiences easy answers. Most stories tell us exactly who is right and who is wrong. This play basically looks at the audience and says, yeah, good luck figuring that out. The characters are complicated, the relationships are complicated, the conversations are complicated. And that's exactly the point. Personally, I think Harris wants the audience to sit in discomfort and avoid it. The play forces viewers to think critically about race and power relationships and historical trauma. Even if somebody disagrees with the play, chances are they're still thinking about it afterward. Um, One thing I did learn in this course is that theater is much more than just entertainment and a way to pass the time. Before this class, I mostly thought theater was storytelling and like not only I really like theater. Now I understand that theater can preserve history and challenge social norms, create social change and gives a voice to experiences that might be ignored. Studying African American theater helped me understand how playwrights have used the stage to discuss racism, inequality, identity, and cultural experiences throughout American history. It's also taught me that some of the most important plays aren't the ones that make us comfortable, and they're the ones that make us think. Slave Play by Jeremy O. Harris is a provocative and thought-provoking work that explores race, sexuality, identity, power, and the lasting effects of slavery. Whether audiences love it, dislike it, or leave the theater staring at the wall trying to process what just happened, what they just watched, the play succeeds at creating conversation. Not positive, not negative, but conversation. And honestly, if a play can make people laugh, argue, think, reflect, and question their assumptions all at once, that's pretty impressive. Thank you for listening to my presentation. The end or the start of another therapy session for me.